Yo guys, what's up? We're back. Today we're going to be talking about Juventus versus Real Madrid. What a stinker, man. We're going to talk about it. I've actually taken notes this time, so I'm not just yapping and rambling. Lose connected points. Nah. We're going to follow some of my notes and then we'll see how we go, all right? First thing I want to say, just an overall of the game. Juventus, what the was that? Oh my god, what a disappointment. I swear to god, guys, if you watch the second half and you blur out or like block out the scoreboard, you would think Juventus was the one with the goal. I mean, they just sat back and defended like they had nothing to play for. Like they didn't need to. It was so bizarre, so weird. Awful display from Juventus. I mean, there was 5 minutes left, guys. They were walking around, just all stacked up behind, just walking around defending. A mess. Shameful performance. If I was a Juventus fan, I would be losing my mind because that was terrible. Terrible. I guess my first point is that this first half was so boring. If you're going to watch the highlights, first 45, skip it. It was so boring. Very slow build-up play. Almost nothing exciting except for Colomowani's chip attempt that he missed, which, by the way, that opportunity one-on-one with Courtois, you just gotta score it. You can't just overshoot, all right? But Colomowani isn't like a terrible striker. He's actually very good. And in this game specifically, he showed he's very good at like hold up play. Great stuff. I mean, it was good from that aspect, but from the actual goal scoring, come on, man. You need to do better than that. Another thing I'm going to mention is Juventus's goalkeeper. My God, this guy is the only reason this game wasn't 4-0. Like I am not exaggerating. This guy was the only reason Juventus had a chance. This was a horrible performance from Juventus offensively. They tried to defend a lot for a majority of the game, even when it didn't make sense to, but they did. That goalkeeper was the only reason, their get out of jail free card. He was the only reason they had any chance. But that performance, man, sign that goalkeeper for another 50 years, dude, because y'all need him or else you're going to lose every game. Like, this is ridiculous display from this team. Outstanding performance from this goalkeeper. Now, I don't want to say all the Juve players were bad offensively. Yildiz, wow, I wish this dude was on another team because it is so sad to see how talented and how good this guy is, and he has to play with this offense. It was horrible. It was so sad to see. His build-up play is very good. His dribbling is very good. He almost scored a couple times. I mean, it wasn't too many times just because all of Juve was barely offensive the whole game. But I love watching Yildiz play. I wish Juve was in a better spot or their tactics were better offensively because I feel like we really get robbed of watching that dude play offensively. Like, we almost never see the true potential or display of his abilities because they weren't doing anything. They just sat back the whole game. Very disappointing, but Yildiz, again, same with the goalkeeper, big thumbs up. This was just a bad team effort, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean everyone played badly. I also do want to talk about Vinicius Jr. because I did make the other video the other day whenever Real Madrid went against Salzburg. That performance was really good from Vinicius Jr., something we haven't seen from him in a very long time, which is this simple style, you know, using his pace and passing and shooting, keeping it simple. What happened? We're right back to where we were, unfortunately, with Vinny. I think Vinicius Jr.'s problem when Mbappé is not playing, he always feels the need to go centrally for some reason. Guys, he's so much better on like out wide on the left. Like I said in my other video, he does a lot of the times try to do like rainbow flicks and a little too much, loses the ball, whatever. But Vinny's not a 9, all right? He'll never be a number 9. And when he tries to stick centrally, he loses the ball almost all the time. Very sloppy this whole game, first half and second half. On counterattacks, he's tripping over himself, losing the ball, or going down the middle and then just getting absolutely caught up to by all of Juventus's defenders. And he's out of options, and he either passes back or gets a corner. I don't know what's going on with Vinicius Jr. This, like, trying to play centrally against a team like Juventus that was so stacked on the defense, dropping back constantly, it was never going to work. Never going to work. Very disappointing performance from Vinicius Jr. I really do want to see improvements. I'm running out of, like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if Vinny's that guy. I really don't. I don't know if he's going to be that guy for Real Madrid probably ever again. He's just so, I don't know. He's just not that reliable. Even as a winger, as a goal scorer, it's like it depends on the day. It used to be a lot more common that it was like, oh yeah, he's got it. When he had Toni Kroos or Benzema, but I don't know, man. Even with this new system with Xabi Alonso, it does not look like he's comfortable at all. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe we need to give him more time, but how much time until we know? Like we just saw last season, we saw nothing good. I don't know how much time he needs. Very underwhelming performance from Vinny. Hopefully he improves, but I wouldn't hold my breath anymore. I do want to talk about Gonzalo Garcia, the number 30 for Real Madrid. Wow. Unbelievable. This kid has put up 4 goal contributions in 4 games. Unbelievable. I see why Xabi Alonso called this kid up. I'm not exactly sure where Endrick is. I don't know if he's going to get loaned out or what the deal is with him, but he is no longer the secondary striker. This Gonzalo Garcia kid clearly seems to be like the secondary striker, and he has stepped up. I mean, he really has. The goal that he scored today with Trent Alexander-Arnold crossing it in perfectly from Trent, by the way. We don't always see it from Trent, but when he does have those dime passes right on the head, they're perfect. Garcia gets it, scores it with a beautiful header, and to get it past that Juventus keeper is very impressive. Beautiful goal, and it was within inches of like the Juventus keeper's hand. It was an amazing goal. I really like this kid. I want to see more of him, honestly. My idea would be maybe later or like early, or maybe in the early stages of the La Liga season, because I don't think right now is a time to change tactics. I would like to see Mbappé on the left wing and then Gonzalo Garcia down as the number 9, because guys, I don't know, Vinny's like, I'm not convinced that Vinny's like this hard start, like this hard guaranteed starter. I just don't see it anymore. He looks very replaceable, and again, Mbappé did great as a number 9. He really did last season, winning the Golden Boot. It's an amazing first season as a 9, but we all know that Mbappé on the left wing is an unstoppable machine. Just because he's decent and very actually pretty good as a number 9 doesn't mean he's not better in another position. I really think that if this Vinicius Jr. sloppy form doesn't get fixed, it's worth trying eventually. Mbappe on the left with Garcia in the middle. Then it would actually give a reason to bring back Endrick to the team or loan him out. I don't know what they're going to do with him. Having him there, they would have a sub for Mbappe and for Garcia. I think it would be very interesting to see. Unfortunately for this game, as soon as Gonzalo Garcia scored that amazing header, it was like, I don't know how else to put it, Juventus literally just stopped trying offensively. Guys, no exaggeration at all. If you watch how they were playing after that goal happened, it seriously looked like they didn't care. It got to the 85th minute, and I swear, just walking on defense, not even trying to fight for possession, not pressing. Ridiculous display from Juventus. All they did was drop back and defend. The only players I saw consistently attacking at that point was Nico Gonzalez and Thuram. Those were the only 2 I saw breaking even a sweat to try to get the ball forward or to get anything to happen. Juve looked like they could not wait to get back on that plane home. I mean, it was ridiculous display. Another kid I do want to talk about is Güler. Güler was absolutely phenomenal this game. I love how Xabi Alonso is using him more centrally. He provides a lot of passes, and honestly, I know he's not to that level yet, but it seems like abundantly apparent to me that this kid is super talented. How is it not obvious how good this guy will be if he consistently stays in this team with this form? He's going to be a superstar. Güler is extremely talented. I really cannot understand why on earth Ancelotti barely used him. He is phenomenal and more than good enough to start for Real Madrid. Overall, this performance from Real Madrid was boring, but again, I'm not going to blame Real Madrid for that, especially because when you go against a team like Juventus that in this situation just drop backs and defends, this is like almost the only result you're going to get. Slow football, not a lot of goals, almost nothing. Mbappe did come in the second half. I think a lot of people were looking forward to this. To be perfectly honest with you guys, anytime a player like that who used to be very like a main start player and then takes a break for a bit or he gets sick, whatever, injured, whatever the case is, when they take a hiatus for a bit and they come back to the team, it is very normal for their form to be very like he's got to build up to it again. I really was expecting absolutely nothing from Mbappe this game. I wasn't expecting insane dribbles. I thought this was just dip your toes in the water, get a feeling of what it's like to be there again. Even with that criteria, I still think that Mbappé was more reliable than Vinicius Jr. this game. Even for the short time he was there, he provided more of an impact, a more useful impact than Vinicius Jr. did a majority of the game when he had the ball. Overall though, I mean, Juventus is out of the Club World Cup. I can't say Real Madrid didn't deserve to win. Juventus definitely deserved to get knocked out. I can't even stress this enough. This was so embarrassing. This was a waste of time. Honestly, Juventus shouldn't even, like, as soon as Real Madrid scored, they should have left. Should have just forfeited right then and there because they did not play a minute after that. They looked like they could not give a shit that they were about to be eliminated. And that kind of attitude, why are you here? Why are you playing? Get out, man. Horrible display from Juventus overall. Real Madrid, I don't look at this game as like a huge test for them because, again, this was just haram ball. Like, it was just defense they had to deal with. I think Real Madrid's looking consistent to how they've been looking. Lots of quick passes. I don't love how Rudiger plays on that build-up play. He seems a little clunky. I think he needs time with that system. Real Madrid just more of the same. Probably what we expected the result to be. Again, there probably should have been more goals scored, but that amazing goalkeeper performance leaves it at 1-0. I think the right winner won, and that's it. Real Madrid advance. Juve are out. Again, very deserved result, exactly how it should have gone. Let me know what you guys thought about that game. And we're actually going to be talking about Monterrey versus Dortmund. Let me know what you guys thought about that game, but here we go. All right, guys, we're back. I just finished watching Dortmund versus Monterrey. Wow, what a game. And the final score is 2-1. Dortmund are going to advance in this. Let's talk about this game. First thing I want to talk about is Guirassy and Adeyemi, especially in the first half. Unbelievable duo. Those two were unstoppable on the ball. Guirassy this game could have left with at minimum a hat trick, okay? There was a couple chances where the first two goals that he scored were just perfect. Like, when you have a number 9 up there, he did everything right. He finessed the ball right past the keeper with a curve. Perfect. Guirassy was phenomenal. Adeyemi with the pace and setting up Guirassy so perfectly. Flawless execution. I loved what I was watching from those two. Those two were unstoppable for like a good 30 minutes of the game. I think it was actually within like 23 minutes of the first half. They had already both gotten 2 goals and 2 assists. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff from those two. I thought they were unbelievable. I love this combo. That's all I really have to say about that. So, Job Bellingham. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I haven't watched like almost any Job Bellingham matches ever. This was my first introduction to him. Obviously, I knew he was Bellingham's brother. He moved to Dortmund, but that's all I knew about him. From what I saw in this game, I mean, he played pretty fine. I mean, he would press on the ball. Now, he did get a yellow card, and because of yellow card accumulation, he is not going to be able to face Jude Bellingham, his brother, in the Real Madrid-Dortmund game, which is a bummer for sure, but he'll be watching from the sidelines. You know, it is what it is. We will get that match one day, but unfortunately, because of the yellow card, he will not be playing in the next match against Real Madrid. Unfortunate, but you know what? It is what it is. I think he would, sacrifice that if it meant Dortmund still got the win. So it is what it is. Going back to Guirassy, by the way, in the first half, this dude could have easily had 4 goals. After the 2, it looked like he got a little too, I don't want to say too confident because it's never a bad thing, but I mean, he got too comfortable with like, oh yeah, I know I'm going to score. And there was a tap-in, basically a tap-in that he just got a little sloppy. Doesn't go in. You could tell he was shocked. And then there was another chance. I can't recall it off the top of my head. I know there was like at least 4 chances very early on. That 2-0 by the first half, it could have easily have been more just because of Guirassy's finishing alone. Incredible half for him, but it could have been more. I think part of the reason why Dortmund's success was so good in the first half was because Monterrey they had almost everything right about their attack except when they got to the box. It looks like they had no idea what to do productively or what the best attributes of a player could be. Like, it looked like a lot of times they would all start moving up, they're dribbling down the field, and then they freeze. They look for a cross, overshoot. It looks like they just lack someone who has that, you know what, I know I have clinical finishing. Let me go take care of this. So because of that first half, honestly, it just did not look like Monterrey had really any threat on goal at all, especially compared to at some point, very early on, Dortmund had 2 shots on target and 2 goals. When you're competing like that and then, you can't get one ball on target, it's always going to be an uphill battle. I think also the reason that this game was actually so much more of a box to box than a lot of people expected, mostly after the second half, because the first half it was all Dortmund. Since Dortmund was playing so offensively so early on in the first half and they were able to convert goals, I think this immediately put Monterrey out of their element, where their defensive like attributes were kind of like put on hold. Like you can't rely on being super defensive. You got to get goals in. And I think that's why the first half was so dominant, because I don't think they expected to concede anywhere near as quickly as they did. It very clearly had an effect on them, where the first half they were almost stun locked, because it was like, if you're going, again, I mentioned this in my other video, if you take a team that's in either the South American League, the Mexican League, or that style, very physical and very defensive, if you take a team like that and you put them against a team that's a European team, very early on, the European teams, if they score, this sets the pace that you have to out football us in the sense of offensively. And a lot of the times that style of like defensive football is kind of useless, because you're no longer in your element where you feel comfortable. You now have to outperform them at their own game, which is offensively pretty football. I think that's why that 2-0 in the first half was so by a landslide. Again, could have been more. I think it was just that Monterrey really didn't know how to compete with that offensive style, and they got nothing really done in the first half. Obviously, to sum it up, first half, all Dortmund by a mile. They weren't even sweating. They didn't even need the possession. That was the crazy part. They got the ball a couple times, kept scoring, and that's all that Dortmund did, and it worked very well. So then the second half starts. I was expecting that after that attack, the plan would be Dortmund gets one more and then goes into a very defensive possession style. That didn't actually end up happening. Monterrey scores a header like in the 47th minute, like right into the second half. That immediately put Dortmund in this position of like, all right, guys, we could try to drop back and defend a 1-goal lead for the entire game, but I don't think that's like, you could tell they didn't want to do that. They were looking for another goal for that 2-goal cushion just so that they could relax. As we know, obviously they never found it, but there was times of the game where you realize as it was getting closer to the end, then Dortmund started to prioritize the defensive side instead of just the offense. Another thing I do want to say about I just want to add a quick note about the first half. Job, Adeyemi, and Garcia. I loved what they were doing at some point, where they were doing kind of like what I said about Manchester City with the front three, where they just kept rotating around. And when you do that, you basically put Monterrey's defenders in an awkward position where they have to figure out, how do we mark their lanes? Who do we mark? Where do we kind of hover? Who goes where? Because if you're used to marking Job and then you look behind you and he's on the other side of the field, it's going to get weird for them, especially because they also had to focus on getting a goal. That was very smart from Dortmund. I loved what I was seeing from them. I love when those three attackers do that, because it's simple. I mean, I've seen Barcelona do it as well with Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, where they switch sides, completely throwing off the defense. I love when teams do this because it shows the awareness of the players. So I forget what time it was. It was probably 50 minutes in or something like that. So there was one chance where Corona for Monterrey was one-on-one with the keeper. He was through on goal. He gets blocked. He doesn't convert. And then there was a second chance that there was a player holding up the ball for Corona to run, and the holdup was not offside. That's what everyone was like freaking out. But the second pass was the offside pass, obviously. So he just puts the pass in when he's ahead of the ball. It's offside, but he does score. You could tell that Corona was like very frustrated, because this was a player that like, he was probably the most offensive player for Monterrey, honestly. Like, they were just going with him. He was the outlet to try to convert. It didn't end up working, but I mean, he did get a shot on target with a really good strike. Doesn't count offside. It was still 2-1, but still great strike. He just should have stayed onside. And then like the 91st minute, I remember that because the commentator said, oh, he'll get the 91 tattooed right next to 93. Sergio Ramos had almost a perfect header to save Monterrey. It was actually unbelievable. This was such a close ball. I'm talking like it was actually basically on target, but then because the way the cross was coming in, the ball kept spinning, so it just slowly drifts past the box. It slowly drifts past the goal. So, oh my God, you could see the frustration on Ramos, because he actually got it like on target. Like, he knew what he was doing, and it just kept spinning. They missed the chance. It would have been like top bins. It would have been a beautiful goal. It doesn't convert. After that, it's basically just all Dortmund holding the ball. Monterrey really struggled in like the last 10 minutes to do anything productive by getting the ball forward, because anytime they got the ball, Dortmund would just take it right back from them, hold it, and just pass it around. Pretty entertaining game. I would say this game was definitely a lot more entertaining than the Real Madrid game against Juventus, because that was shambolic and ridiculous. But Dortmund will be facing Real Madrid in the next match. My prediction for that, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna go with Real Madrid. Although it is interesting because both teams are using a 3-back defender system, which will be interesting, but I think Real Madrid kind of have the upper hand in the momentum right now, especially with Mbappé slowly coming back into the lineup. We'll see. But my prediction right now, I'm gonna go with Real Madrid. But hey, Garcia and Adeyemi could do something crazy, right? They are absolutely phenomenal together. I love those two. I love what I saw from them today. I should probably watch more of their games because that was unbelievable how they played. Let me know what you guys thought about these games. I'm fully invested in the Club World Cup. I thought these two games were, look, Real Madrid and Juventus, whatever. It is what it is. Very underwhelming game, but this game, pretty good. I don't think anyone's gonna, it wasn't like Monterrey got knocked, like bullied out of the tournament, right? It wasn't like a 5-0 loss. Just frustrating for them, especially because Dortmund really could have had more goals. It would have been a not convincing tie, if you ask me, in my opinion. Getting 2-2 whenever it could have been like at worst 4-1, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been that convincing. Either way, I think Dortmund did deserve the win. They advance. I think it was a good match. Let me know what you guys thought. Leave a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe to this video. You know I love you guys, and I appreciate y'all. And if you do want to see more daily football videos, subscribe to this channel. I am fully committed to it. So, yeah, guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.